Today, we're talking about a massive new Nintendo leak. Could we really be getting a brand new Zelda as soon as this holiday? Plus, the new Mario movie is scoring big at the box office but getting hit with harsh reviews. So is it actually worth checking out? And Steam Deck 2 rumors are heating up, but is Valve about to delay it all the way to 2028? Stick around for all that and more. Welcome, friends, to Good Playing With You, your weekly gaming news roundup. I'm Dan Whitehill, and as always, I'm joined by my co-op companion, Matt Lord.
Hey, how's it going?
And this week, we've got Jeremy Harvey, host of the Zelda podcast, Chat of the Wild.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Thank you, Jeremy. Welcome to the show. We appreciate you taking the time to hang out and talk video games with us. For anyone who might not know you yet, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and Chat of the Wild?
Yeah, so my name is Jeremy. I'm a host of Chat of the Wild, a Legend of Zelda podcast. I also host a podcast called Podcast Advance that covers Game Boy Advance games. But one of the reasons I'm here is to really talk about the relaunch of Chat of the Wild. It is a Legend of Zelda game club podcast where each season takes a look at a single game, where every episode breaks down individual parts of the game leading all the way to the end. So you can play the game along with us and have a good time.
That sounds
awesome.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out. And Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time to chat games with us. And we've got a packed show today, but before we dive in, we're only 88 subscribers away from our goal. So if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit that like and subscribe. It really helps us out. All right, with that out of the way, let's jump into the headlines of the week. First up, we have some spicy Nintendo headlines, and that's why we had to have our Nintendo expert here with us.
That's all right.
So let's jump right into it. Here's the latest big Nintendo rumor, and it actually paints a pretty exciting picture for the Switch 2's back half of 2026, even if Mario apparently isn't part of it. According to longtime Nintendo leaker Nate the Hate with VGC saying it has heard similar things from its own sources, Nintendo is reportedly planning a new quote, classic style Star Fox for summer 2026, plus a major Ocarina of Time remake later in the year around the holidays. The same reporting says the next 3D Mario won't arrive until 2027, which would mean nearly a full decade after Super Mario Odyssey launched in 2017. The Star Fox is especially interesting because this would reportedly be the first new Star Fox game since Star Fox Zero in 2016, and the rumor says it's going to back to the older, more classic style of the series with great visuals and even online multiplayer. Then the Zelda side of things is obviously the bigger headline. If Nintendo is really doing a full Ocarina of Time remake for the franchise's 40th anniversary, that's the kind of holiday release that could carry the platform all by itself. And to be super clear, none of this is official yet. Nintendo hasn't confirmed any of it, but even if half of it is true, then the Switch 2 may not need a new 3D Mario this year to stay completely stacked. So question, gentlemen, do you think these rumors are real and how do you react to them? Let's go to you first, Jeremy, since you're the guest.
Yeah, sure. I think one of the things that I read that really lends legitimacy to this is that Nintendo is pissed. There have been
always
talks about that where, that they are actually upset about how much information has gotten out. We are, as we're recording this, April 2nd, we are 1 year out from the first Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. That's where they expanded on Mario Kart World. At the end, we got Donkey Kong Bonanza announced at that. We are due in the next few weeks for a Direct. Now I always just sort of get my Nintendo senses tingling, or I just can feel it in the air. I'm like, there's a Direct coming, and I've got that right now. But yeah, a Zelda Ocarina remake makes a lot of sense. We are further out from the 3DS remake than it was for the original Ocarina of Time. So for them to go and do a remake actually makes a lot of sense. I'm hoping we get something that's in line with like Resident Evil 4 remake that keeps sort of the general ideas of it, but really gives us new puzzles. If we're just going to be pushing blocks around and Z-targeting enemies, it's going to be a little disappointing. It doesn't matter how good it looks. It's going to be a little disappointing if that gameplay still is kind of that rigid N64 era. The Star Fox makes sense. We just saw Star Fox in the new Mario movie, and we know that they haven't touched it in a long time since Star Fox Zero, which was one of Miyamoto's last games that he worked on. So it would make sense for that. One of the other things that I heard, though, wasn't mentioned in this, but it's sort of a rumor kind of going around. I'm just going to throw it out because it's exciting. Super Metroid remake, possibly being done by Mercury Steam. Just gonna throw that
Mm.
out there. That's, not
I
as legit
mean,
as what Nate the Hate has said, but some other leakers have brought that up as well.
Ooh, that'd be awesome.
gosh,
Mhm.
yeah, Super Metroid? Are you kidding me? I mean, that's cream of the crop right there. Like, if they
Right.
keep it nice, if they honestly just did like the Metroid Dread sort of makeover on it, honestly, I think I could be pretty okay with that. Thinking about the Ocarina of Time though, like I did play that bad boy not too long ago on the 3DS, so that one's still fresh on the mind. And that 3DS, honestly, the version holds up pretty nicely.
Mhm.
Hella dope guy, friend of the pod, I believe, is playing it also right now. We were just talking about that, and Ocarina of Time is great. I just at in the back of my mind though, I was just like, man, I loved what they're doing with the Breath of the Wild stuff. Like, I mean, could we have gotten, another sort of iteration of one of those? Like, that's always kind of lingering there. I'm like, man, like Tears of the
It
Kingdom was great, Breath of the Wild was great.
just
Could
wait
we
till
have?
2030.
Yeah, just 20,
Yeah.
no sweat.
Yeah.
2030 is right around the corner. And then, of course, like Star Fox. I remember a visit to Ohio back in the day. Visited some relatives' basement playing Star Fox 64. Some of the best memories ever that like a California kid doesn't get into a basement very often. So like playing Star Fox down there, I have so many good memories of that game. And I think it's about time we bring it back. I think if we honestly like even just flying around in a ship like in a more advanced setting, I think would be just really cool. And honestly, some of these games really do make me pumped. I mean, right now, Jeremy, I don't have a Switch 2 yet on deck. I've been kind of holding off. Dan went for it, and
And I
I
kind of
haven't.
regret it. I'm sorry, I do.
And that's the sort of thing. I'm like, I haven't had anything yet. Like, I need the Switch 2
Would these games
before
be
then.
big enough for you to get a Switch, though? That's what I want to know, because I was going to take the opposite side of this. I'm not very excited about it, but you guys sound like you are, which is awesome. But would this make you buy a Switch too? Especially,
In Ocarina of Time, like you had mentioned, Jeremy, like depend making significant changes, like if it was like a Resident Evil 4 type of, getting it really redone in the right way, which I'm sure Nintendo is totally capable of. I think that would like an Ocarina of Time would be what would put me over the edge to get a Switch 2. Like honestly, as crazy as that may sound, like I think that would be more of a buy-in than let's say a new Star Fox.
I agree. No, I definitely agree. I think, look, I love the rumor that you were talking about, Jeremy, where there needs to be because there needs to be a direct soon. There has to be something. We all know that they had a little bit trouble with sales on the Switch 2 starting to dip a little bit and not even being as strong as the Switch 1's first holiday. So that's a clear sign that software is missing, because we know it's software that sells hardware. Fox McCloud is a great character, but I don't know that Star Fox is really the system seller that they need. And none of his games have really hit for me. I even played Star Fox Adventures, which wasn't too bad on the GameCube, but even that, I can't imagine myself buying. I think you guys both hit the nail on the head with Ocarina of Time, though. That is such a beloved game, and especially people like me who played it way younger when we were small peanuts. But the thing is, they have to do something, a complete, like, different version of it. They have to mix it up. They did a great job of what was the Game Boy one, the where the tilt shift?
The Link's Awakening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, that was fantastic. That made me buy it just by the different graphic style. I thought that they did was such a great job there. So they have to do something. I agree. Modern controls. They did not give us modern controls with Skyward Sword and who doggy. That one was a slog. In fact, I got to be honest with you. I didn't finish it. I quit it twice. I'm such an idiot. I fucking bought it twice. I bought it on the Wii U, and then I quit it halfway through there, and then I bought it again on the Switch 1, and the controls were so bad I quit it there too. So that one I couldn't get through, but Ocarina of Time, of course, is one of the best, and really set the stage. But I think it does need modern conveniences. I do think it needs some sort of changes, because I own the 3DS version, I own GameCube version, I own the 64 version, all right back here. And for me to buy it like for a third or fourth time, they've really got to do something different and special here. I think that Mario couldn't come soon enough because they need some heavy hitter software here. I sure hope your rumor about Super Metroid is true too. I want to love this system, but they're not giving me a lot of reasons. So I'm a little cautious, and I need to see more from that direct when it comes.
That's all reasonable. Absolutely. I am a big Nintendo head, so I was Switch 2 day one just to be able to play Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom at 60 frames a second. Like
Yeah.
that alone was just like, oh yeah, I'll replay all these games again. That's fine. That I need the new hardware for that. Yeah, so you were talking about system sellers. I don't think Nintendo is necessarily worried about that for this year, mostly because of the economy, where everything is. But they've got a new Pokemon next year. That's going to sell like crazy next year. They have nothing
For
to worry
sure.
about. That's going to be a Switch 2 exclusive. There is a group of people out there that are diehard Pokemon fans that haven't bought a Switch 2 for like Pokopia because it's a spin-off. They don't care about that. They care about the mainline one. When that comes around, they're going to be selling, so many of those. The Zelda thing, I think, is a big deal. Conspiracy theorist ideas that I have in my
I love
head.
a good theory.
Yes.
So,
Oh.
yeah. AM2R, another Metroid 2 remake, a thing from like a decade ago, fan-made Metroid 2 remake. If you look it up, it was a long time thing. You can find it still, but Nintendo sued the people that were making it to shut it down. And then about 6 months later, they announced the Metroid 2 remake on 3DS. There is a thing called Ship of Harkinian out there that is the PC mod. And I'm sure you guys have heard about the PC, what is it called? The recompilations of N64 games where they've been taking these classic N64 games and making PC ports of them.
Mhm.
You can make an HD 4K version of Ocarina of Time on your PC right now. Nintendo doesn't care about that. And that's telling me because what they're working on is not going to just be that. What they're making is like they're making a brand new game. This is not going to infringe on that. They are not worried about that. Where the A2MR, another AM2R was, even though it was like 2D style, it was still like a 2D Metroid that was out there. They're making their own 2D Metroid. They can't have that readily available.
Oh, that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah, I feel like you got to just follow the copyright rabbit hole, and you can
Yes.
kind of deduce what's about to happen. I'm a big Super Metroid fan, so if they give us that as well, I'll be extra stoked.
I agree. I just think that I'm so shocked by Nintendo's playbook so far this generation. I got my Switch to day one as well, and I was expecting, Animal Crossing sequels and Mario sequels and Zelda sequels, and so far we really haven't gotten that much. They've just been doing patches and updates to their older software, and I think that I was surprised because Switch 1, they had all of the original software, but then they were porting all the Wii U software. Now, technically, yes, I own the Wii U, so I bought it all again when it came to Switch 1, but it just seems like they had such a vast library and they don't have that now. So I feel like this upcoming Direct would be make or break for them, and they need these sorts of games to keep the system moving. Speaking of moving the system, though, there are some mentions that the console growth might be tapped out already in terms of the market. Lord, you had the story.
Nintendo pushed Mario into movies because console growth is tapped out. Nintendo might be changing what it even is as a company. After the massive success of the Super Mario Bros. Movie, Shigeru Miyamoto says that this shift towards movies and streaming isn't accidental, it's intentional. His thinking is simple. There are only so many people you can reach through consoles, but with movies, streaming, and online content, Nintendo can introduce characters like Mario to way more people, and many of whom may never have even touched the game first. And this comes at a time when console growth is slowing down. Systems like Switch and PS5 aren't really expanding the audience anymore. They're just competing for the same players. So Nintendo is adapting by going transmedia, spreading its characters across films, shorts, and potentially even dedicated platforms. Miyamoto even hinted at a mindset shift from asking what game Nintendo will make next to what world they'll expand next. And that opens the door to a future where Nintendo's biggest new franchise might not start on console at all, but on a screen somewhere else. So interesting stuff here. I get what he's saying, but what do you guys think? Is this a good step for Nintendo? Because I have thoughts. I want to hear what you have to say about this, Jeremy.
Here's really what but the main thing that I think when I'm reading this, this is Miyamoto saying this. Miyamoto hasn't developed a game for a decade. He is not a game developer anymore. He hasn't really been relevant since the Wii. He hasn't really done anything that has been successful since then. I love the guy. He is, he's a great guy, all that. He made some he made some doodles of a funny man 40 years ago, and he has built a legacy on that. When he goes and does these interviews, I do kind of roll my eyes at it, because this is not, he is not the CEO of Nintendo. His job title is creative fellow at Nintendo. He generally, like, when a game comes out in the credits, he's just named as like a producer, which just means that every couple of months he plays around with the game and he makes some comment, and then he goes to the Nintendo theme park and takes pictures there. I wish, I love the guy, more power to him to do all that stuff. But when I hear these kind of interviews and people like start talking about business stuff, where I'm like, this is a toy maker that is just living out his best life right now. Like, this isn't really like, a sign of anything business wise.
Fair. Dan, what do you think?
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I was to say the exact same thing, so I'm kind of blown away. I was going to mention the theme parks and him always. Nintendo loves to trot him out because they know he's a fan favorite. Everyone loves him just because he, had made so many IP that really got them going. But I also think, even if he is right, which I don't think he is, I think that Nintendo's going to get their shit together. I think we're going to have a lot of great software coming up, I think just the launch has been a bit of a blip. But I think that if this really is where Nintendo is going, hey, I at least appreciate this sort of strategy rather than Sony's, which was trying to go all online games all the time and then seeing those crater like Concord and stuff like that. That's because, look, capitalism, they're always going to try and build their business and expand their business. And, Sony obviously had disastrous results with their online games, and Nintendo's trying their foot here in film. And we're going to talk more about the Mario movie here in a second. But I also, we've all seen the things that have leaked regarding the Zelda movie. So they are definitely pushing for this very hard. And I think it could be successful for them, especially as we talk about the Mario movie in a minute. But I do think you're right. I don't think Nintendo's taking their eye off the ball really with video games. I don't think this is just something else that they're doing to grow.
Yeah, but it makes you wonder, like, could this have something to do with like the Mario delay? Like, where's we do? Yeah. No, you don't think so? Like, I'm like,
it takes so long. I mean, this and games both take so long to make.
True, but we haven't heard a peep. Which this was sort of my time. I'm like, what? Like, I would have thought they would have dropped like a game announcement along with the new movie. Or Dan, we were saying like potentially
either movie. Yeah, I think it's hubris that's honestly caused them not to capitalize on these movies and events. And who knows if they're going to be able to do that with the new Zelda movie when it finally comes out. I don't even know if they're going to have a game for that. But one of these times they're going to hit it out of the park. Just adding updates to your games instead of adding new games, I don't think is going to work for them too much longer. So we'll see what happens.
Counterpoint: if they had to launch it this year, it'd be $600.
Yeah, I know. Very true. And who's to say that we won't be getting a price hike soon? No.
Oh my gosh! I better get my freaking hands on it, man. I can't pay $600. Oh geez, Louise.
There's also a rumor that there will be a Zelda themed Switch to go along with it, which is very like Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's really smart. If they were, oh man, when does that movie come out? Because is there any way they could?
I thought we were gonna get a trailer for it for the Mario movie, but apparently it's still just not quite there yet.
Man, yeah, well, because it would be really cool if they could time that up to, like the movie and the game this winter. That would be amazing.
It could be in the Direct. That's how they did with the Mario stuff. They could actually have a teaser in the Direct and say, we'll have a Zelda movie Direct in a month or something like that. They will almost certainly be doing that. since we
that's the
saw that
kind of
with
shit that
Mario.
would, yeah, that's kind of shit that would get me pumped. So hopefully they get their, act together and get stuff going because if those two hit at the same time, oh man, they would make so much money. It would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Speaking of movies, the Super Mario Galaxy movie is off to a huge start at the box office, pulling in 34 million on opening day domestically, which is the biggest opening day of 2026 so far, and actually ahead of the first Mario movie's 31 million opening day back in 2023. And that's why this story is interesting, because the critics are much colder this time, but the movie may be basically review proof anyway. On Metacritic, Galaxy is sitting at a 35, which is a noticeable drop from the first movie's 46. The user score is also down from an 8.1 to the original 7.7 here. Even on Rotten Tomatoes, audience enthusiasm looks to be a bit softer. The first movie had a 95% audience score, while Galaxy is currently around 91. So not too much worse there. Still strong, just a little lower. And the reviews are kind of all over the place for this movie. The good comes from Time Out, which gave it a 3 out of 5 and says, it's not deep, but it's made with love and it hits the spot. The mid comes from Variety, and they say the movie treats the story as a, quote, threadbare adventure because it's so focused on gamer recognition and Easter eggs. And the dramatic quote comes from The Wrap, and they went with the brutal headline, this lazy junk will probably make $1 billion. So that's really the takeaway. Critics think this sequel is even thinner than the first one. Audiences still seem to love it. And financially, it's already proving that Mario might just be one of those franchises where reviews almost don't even matter. So what do you gentlemen think? Have you seen the trailers? Are you guys in on this one? Jeremy, let's go to you first.
No. I saw the first movie in theaters. I was dating someone
Really? No? You're not going to go see it?
No.
Oh, I thought you were joking with us.
No.
Because you're so Nintendo.
I thought so too. I was like, oh man.
No, like I saw the first one in theaters, and I was dating someone who had kids at the time, so it's like we went, did all that stuff, and it's like they loved it and everything. And the first 15 minutes of it, I was just like, oh, I know that thing and that thing and that thing. And it's like, oh wow. And then it turns into just an Illumination movie, and I have to hear Chris Pratt be Mario, which doesn't make any sense at all. Like you just watch it and just like it's like a bad dub. Like you're just like they just didn't dub this correctly or something. This one, like I had already like read enough stuff about it where I was just like, okay, what's the post-credit scene? Oh, okay. I already know Star Fox is in it. If they do a Star Fox movie, I'll be down for a Star Fox movie. That'd be pretty cool. As long as maybe Chris Pratt won't be in it. But yeah, I don't the trick of, hey, you know, all those video games things you like, it's in a movie. Like it's not interesting to me. I've got the like AMC movie pass. I go see films all the time.
Yeah.
There's plenty of time. Like if I want to get my Nintendo fix, I'll just make a bucket of popcorn here and I'll play something on my TV, you know,
for sure. Yeah.
Jeremy, that was such a damn curveball out of you. I can't believe it. Because I'm gonna be honest, I fucking love the first. I liked the first one a lot. Like I watched that and I was like, I went and bought it on like Blu-ray. I'm like, this is pretty good stuff. Like I guess like I didn't see it in theaters. I was like, oh, it came out. Like let's see it. And we watched it, and I think I showed it to my daughter Ro. Couple like. When she was probably much too young and she didn't fully care for it. But I feel like if we watched it now, she would really like it. And then I'm like, oh, maybe I could take her to see the sequel in the movie theater. And it is crazy when you said the critics gave the first one a 46. I did not know. I thought like the critics were down with the first one. I guess not. So
agree with Jeremy that the story wasn't quite there and it was a lot of fan service. Yeah.
So thing to keep in mind also when you talk about critic reviews for movies, comedies, horrors, and kids movies always review poorly. They always review poorly. But that doesn't mean that they're bad horror movies. The funniest comedies you've ever seen have bad reviews. And then kids movies, it's adults reviewing kids movies. So you know, those are always going to have bad reviews.
Yeah. I think I'm definitely going to watch this one. I'm not going to go to the theater for it, but I can't wait for it to hit Peacock because I know it's going to be there day one when it hits streaming. I appreciate that the bar is set a little bit lower for me, so my expectations were so high on the first one. I couldn't wait. Like, I fucking love Mario. I loved the way it looked. I thought this was gonna be I thought the trailer was great, and then I gotta say, like, the movie was fine. It was just fine. I think I was overhyped for it. And this one, I feel like my expectations are super low, so it's like I'm gonna enjoy the shit out of this one, I'm sure. I like a good
Yeah.
underdog story. I mean, the real news here is going to be when they announce the Luigi's Mansion spin-off movie, because that will be fire. I love the shit out of that game, and I think it would make a fantastic movie. And if they would just go ahead and do that, then everything's going to be fine. And in the meantime, I'll wait for this one to come out on streaming. I'm sure it'll be very fun.
Yeah. And if they release it around Halloween, Luigi Mansion, geez, like, you got yourself a winner.
I know, but Nintendo's timing, they never line things up at the right time.
Come on, Nintendo, let's get our act together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, though, who knows? I have to show Row the first one to the completion. Then we'll get to the sequel. So
for sure. And sometimes when you watch it with kids, you just get to, you kind of relive the enthusiasm with them. And so there's something magic that happens there. And I'm sure you definitely make sure Row sees it. She's going to love it. I think it's right up her alley. All right. Speaking of exciting, new and exciting and timing, let's talk about the Steam Deck 2. I'm starting to hear rumors about that, and I know our resident Matt Lord here is a Steam Deck super fan. So Lord, why don't you tell me all about it?
Yeah, so the Steam Deck 2 release window has leaked. If you're waiting on a Steam Deck 2 anytime soon, you might want to get comfortable. A new leak suggests Valve isn't planning to launch the next version until at least 2028. And it could even slip further, possibly into 2029 or beyond. The reported reason, ongoing RAM and hardware supplies issues, which could push development back years. I mean, no surprise there, honestly. That's a long wait, especially considering the original Steam Deck dropped back in 2022, which in PC hardware terms is basically ancient history. But there is a silver lining. Unlike traditional consoles, the Steam Deck 2 is rumored to use a more flexible, semi-custom chip. That means if it does get delayed, Valve could actually upgrade its specs with newer tech closer to launch, potentially making it more powerful than even next-gen consoles like the PS6 or whatever Xbox has planned. So do you think you can hold off to 2028 or beyond to get, your first Steam Deck or upgrades? What do you think, Jeremy? Are you all over this? What's your take on this Steam Deck shenanigans?
I've got a Steam Deck. I have the original launch Steam Deck, and it is really cool to play PS2 games on.
Oh, amen, brother.
That is my main use for it. It is a PlayStation 2 handheld for me.
Oh wow. That's it. Yeah, I mean, I love trying to run like the modern games on it. I'm like, will it run the Resident Evil 4 remake? And then it like runs. I don't know how the damn magic on that system. Like, it is truly incredible that old. I have the launch as well, and it's like it can still run some of these, some of the latest games. So, do you think you'll be waiting in pre-ordering the Steam Deck too?
It's unlikely. I don't, because I just feel like I am sort of under this impression that for the next like 5 years or so, when it comes to game development, all these developers need to sort of hunker down to be like, we need to learn how to make games for low power PCs, because that's where everyone is right now. And the only way we're going to be able to sell games is by making most of that. That's kind of the reason why AI upscaling has become sort of a bigger thing. And we have been seeing a lot of really cool stuff with that. I don't know. Have you seen there's something I've been meaning to put on my Steam Deck that lets you frame generate like double FPS without like cost of any energy on the thing?
Yes, I haven't. Okay, those things, like, I love them, but I feel like that comes with a cost of input delay. That's
possible.
Like,
Sure. It's possible for sure. Yeah.
And that's sort of my my little bit of a hang up where I'm like, I feel like, yeah, you could do a little, you can squeeze some extra frames, but it's like, man, I'm so into like snappy controls that I'm like, but I guess like for, you know, the RPGs, and if you're looking, you know, just playing on the PS2, I don't know. I wonder if it would work on the PS2 content, but yeah, there is like so many different options. And if they're saying they could potentially be as powerful as a PS6, for me, I'm like, hey, I would be actually, I would consider it, but it most likely still will be like over $1,000. Like
Right.
that's my take. It's going to be expensive. And if the Steam Deck 1 is still going strong, like I don't really see a point quite yet until much further down the line.
Yeah.
Dan, what do you think?
Well, I think it's going to all depend on this whole Rampocalypse where, you know, and we've got a small story about that coming up, but when that gets resolved and the prices and all that sort of stuff. So I'm interested in it, but it's like for right now, I've invested in the Switch 2 and that's going to be my main handheld. So I'm going to probably play a lot of independent games. And when they finally make Ocarina of Time, I'm definitely going to pick that one up. And I'm going to be content there. I'm not jumping in on Steam Deck 1 because I do feel like it's too old. And Steam Deck 2 sounds great, but it also sounds like it's going to be a little off, ways off in the future. And so what I want to talk about is, where is this Steam machine? How are we hearing rumors about this Steam Deck 2? And we don't have any rumors. I want delicious rumors about Steam machine because I am a sit on my couch console gamer at heart, but I am very tempted to like what Jeremy was pointing out, where PC has some of these great retro rewind. That game looks really fantastic. Schedule One, you know, like those small games that are these big hits on PC, I don't really have access to on my console. So the Steam machine is much more up my alley and what I'm interested in. And then we've also got Xbox saying, hey, I'm going to do the whole Steam thing too. Look at me over here. So I'm like, all right, you guys are all talking a big game. I'm interested. Why don't you woo me? No one's wooing me here when it comes to the PC in the living room. They've all said it, but that's it. And that's really where I'm more interested. And I can't wait to talk more about it, but they're not saying shit.
Jeremy, you're gonna get in that Steam machine life though once
Not in
that
the
finally
Steam.
drops?
No, but I am interested in their VR. Just really just to see like, okay, what are they doing? I have the Oculus 3 and I love that thing, but also Meta is abandoning a lot of the stuff. I don't think they're going to get rid of their marketplace because they make money off that. They make money off every sale. That's like the obvious business they should have only ever been in. But so yeah, there's still going to be stuff there as long as that is still the major VR. I'll have that one. If the Valve VR comes out, this new one comes out, and enough people do it that development starts to shift over there, then I'll definitely want to check it out. But I've got a gaming PC that I built about a year ago. And yeah, I mean it's a full size thing. I made it look like it almost looks like a space heater because it like matches with the like black steel and wood that I have. Like it's actually
nice.
Most people see it and they're just like, wait, that's a computer. And I was like, yeah, it's a computer. And so that is gonna, like I said, if developers are looking at like, we don't need to be worrying about making the most cutting edge game for the next few years, this thing is going to last me for the next decade, for any kind of thing that I would need that I couldn't get on my PlayStation 5 Pro or my Xbox X or my Switch 2, or I've got all the stuff. So it's like it's not really like I need to be like, unless this Steam box has Half-Life 3 on it and you can only play it on Half-Life 3 on that, like that's the only thing that would do it for me.
You couldn't have said it better. I couldn't have said it better if I tried. That's sort of how I feel too. It's like I got the PC, like I don't need quite yet, unless there's really something to it that is just like, that is so key. Like that was kind of how I felt with the Steam Deck a little bit too, is where I was like, I don't know if I fully need this. And then like I saw all the different little features that it had, and it was so like, it had the sleep, and I was like, oh my gosh, you could go in and then before I knew it, I was buying in. So I feel like Valve still has some tricks up its sleeve with this system, hopefully. And I mean, who knows? I think again, if it was priced at $399, then we'd be really into it. But I think this is gonna be like a $900 or $800 console at this point.
Yeah, it's scary.
I do want that controller. I will say that.
Oh yeah,
I want that controller.
Yes, me too.
I'm definitely curious because I've never used those tactile pads, and they look interesting, but
they're awesome.
anytime I try Steam Link on my TV, because again, I'm that living room guy, I don't have those tactile pads. And so it's pretty much a nightmare playing with anything on controller that's not completely, geared for it. That's the real problem there.
You're gonna love those things. Like once you get them down, people like swear by them. They stop using their joysticks at that point. They're like, this is the way. But yeah, I can't
That's
wait.
definitely interesting. But unfortunately, I do think you're probably right on the price of the thing, because prices of everything are insane lately. And that's why we have to talk about this PlayStation price increase. I know that we finished our podcast last week, and even before we published our podcast, PlayStation announced that they were raising their prices, and we're like, shit, because we didn't get a chance to even talk about that. So real quickly, I want to recap where we are, because the prices went into effect today. The prices have officially increased, and this is essentially that story, and then we have to discuss it. Yes, the new PS5 prices are now officially live, and Sony says the reason is a, quote, challenging global and economic environment. And the wild part is we literally just had a price increase last August for PlayStation. So here's how crazy this has gotten. The standard PS5 launched at $499. Then last August, Sony bumped it up to $549, and now it's $649. That means the regular PS5 is now $150 more expensive than it was at launch. The digital edition is even wilder. That one launched at $399 and went up to $499 in August, and is now $599. So the all digital PS5 is now $200 more expensive than it was when the generation started. And the PS5 Pro, that launched at $699, jumped to $749, and now sits at a whopping $899. So yeah, that's also a $200 increase. That's what makes this feel so nuts, is we're years into the generation, and instead of these consoles getting cheaper, they're getting dramatically more expensive, and pretty quickly. And Sony's own recent numbers showed PS5 sales were down 16% year over year, which makes another big price hike feel like it's a pretty bold move. So at this point, does the PS5 still feel worth it at this prices, or are they going to damage their sales? Jeremy, let us know what you think.
I am going to echo Jeff Grubb from Giant Bomb, because I absolutely 100% agree with this. They are going to sell consoles when the GTA 6 comes out. And it doesn't matter if they bump this all the way up to $1,000. There are going to be people out there that when GTA 6 comes out, they're going to want the system that plays it the best. And they're going to say, okay, this is going to be my game that I get. Okay, this is what I got to spend for this. And it might be the only game that they buy. And there is that market out there. There are people that have been waiting just for GTA 6. And Sony didn't capitalize on it the same way that they did with GTA 5. And they want to make sure they don't look at this as any other way other than the biggest game ever is coming out at the end of this year. It does raise the price because that'll help with our margins, and it's going to sell this holiday anyway.
Man, that's a pretty damn good point over there. It kind of is upsetting me that like GTA 6 has this kind of orbit around it. Like it's jacking up a system's price that should be going down dramatically. Like I saw some other charts that was like, however long the system's been out, like, the PS3, it like went down like so much. It's like hundreds of dollars less. And the PS5 like has this U shape where it's like going back up towards the stratosphere. And it most likely is because you're right. GTA 6 is just going to be such a profitable time for them. And it makes perfect sense. But it's like right now, like if I were to ask my parents and I was like, a teenager to buy me a PS6 or PS5 at that price point for like $600, they would like totally smack me. They'd be like, what are you talking about? You're like,
right.
You're a bum. Like, get out of here. Like, that's just complete craziness. And I think this still is, at this point where the PS6 is like, you can go onto the marketplace and yes, it's still more expensive, or it's maybe a little bit more expensive, but you can find like PC used parts that you can build your own PC at that point, get yourself a PC at around $600, $700, and you can have something that can play. I mean, it won't be able to play GTA 5 or 6 right away, but you could get like a PC at that point. It's crazy. Like, I just don't know where like where are the consumers for this console at this type of price. And on top of that, it pisses me off because the PS Portal was sort of on my radar. Like I was kind of like thinking, I'm like, do I like maybe want that at some point? And now that's like, no way. That got ramped up. But like, I think they got like $50 or
Yeah,
something. So it's like,
yeah.
I'm not going to get that now. Like, I'm not going to buy into Sony's little trap. So yeah. What do you think, Dan? Is this just, I think I might know what's coming.
No, I think Jeremy's spot on with his take and GTA. They're charging it because they can, and the other point here is Xbox isn't giving them much competition, so they don't have much competition there. If Xbox, they look like they have some great games like Gears of War. Can't wait to see more of that. I'm so pumped for Fable. That's going to be a fantastic game, but they're putting their software everywhere, and this is the end result. PlayStation knows people are going to buy these games, but they're also going to have them on their PlayStation system, so they don't have to make any games, and they just continue to raise prices. The thing is, I don't want to hear their crocodile tears when they talk about, the market's not growing or there's a lack of sales or anything like that, because they've done this to themselves. There will be repercussions for this, or maybe sales slow and then spike enough that it pays off with GTA 6, or it does happen after. But there will be some sort of, I think, blowback eventually for this. But the question is, they've already run off with the bag, they probably, even if they hurt the market, they probably have made more money hurting the market than being good guys and selling it at a loss or cost or something like that.
Yeah, I did luck out. I bought a PS5 Pro last week, right after all this stuff happened. But I bought an open box one that was just under 700. And then when I got it, it was missing this tiny little plastic piece that you use to sit it horizontal, which I have to because of my setup. And I went on Amazon and I was just like, sent them a message. I was like, hey, can I get a partial refund? And they were just like, yeah, here's $70 back. And I was like, okay.
What?
So because they could only do a percentage, so they were like 10%, and that's all they could do. And I was like, okay, that's so much more than I needed on this. But I do have the Spider-Man PS5, so in a month and a half I should be able to sell that for near about what I paid for this this PS5 Pro.
How do you like the do you like the Pro? Because I honestly have not talked to anybody who has the Pro yet. What do you think?
It's cool. Because I've got a 4K HDR TV, but it only does 60 hertz, so I can't do the full 120 with it. That's gonna be that'll be an extra purchase. I can't rationalize that this year. After everything else, I can't go and rationalize a new TV.
Yeah.
But I mean, things look a little nicer, a little crisper. I just am starting my second playthrough of Silent Hill F, which just got a PSSR update on that. And immediately I was like, oh, okay. Like everything just looks so much sharper all of a sudden. I was like, I didn't realize how much they were blurring before. But
that's good to know.
Yeah, it's cool. It's expensive. I can't recommend it to anybody, but I'm a crazy guy that has to have all the video game stuff.
Yeah, love it. I hear you. And that's awesome that you got that small discount. Did they just send you cash? They refunded you cash for that?
They just refunded it to my payment. Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. Because when I miss my fries on DoorDash, they don't even just pay me off for the fries. They're just like, we'll give you a credit for your next order, and they're such D-bags about it. But I'd prefer if I got money back. So you got a good deal there. I'm really stoked for you. And
I lucked out on that one.
Yeah. And I'm super fan of Silent Hill F. I don't know. We had one of our friends come on the pod and talk about it, and we got the chance to play it, and I beat it several times. So it's fun to play through, and that I'm dying to see now what it looks like on the Pro.
Yeah.
And I have the same problem with the hertz and stuff like that. When I got Crimson Desert, I actually ended up refunding it because I don't know if it was the hertz or what was going on, but it looked so much blurrier and so much worse. So maybe it was my TV that couldn't handle it, or maybe it was just an unoptimized game. But I'm curious to know what the issue is there and if it would have been fixed with the hertz.
Sure.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Man, even though, hey, I am actually eyeballing Crimson Desert as well because I've been watching a lot of that. So I might get my hands on that as well. I don't have time for it, but
It's interesting.
I'll report back.
No, please do. Because I know that people are still talking about it. It's still very active in the zeitgeist. And a lot of people are saying essentially like this should have been marked as early access. It wasn't even a 1.0 because of the developer. Good on them. Pearl Abyss is rolling out patch after patch after patch. And believe me, I'm like, still salivating. I still want to love it. But at the same time, having the experience so poor with the controls, I will
Mhm.
buy that game again, but I'm going to wait
Probably smart.
until probably half price and it's all patched up and ready to go. But if you want to be the guinea pig or the canary in the coal mine and jump in, I'm more than happy to hear your review to see if you had a better experience at it when I
I
bought it.
might.
Right on. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens to the prices of all of this stuff. Who knows? Maybe, when the Rampocalypse is over, that the PlayStation Pro and other consoles might actually drop their price. I'm not holding my breath, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying it could happen. Who knows? And we did get a little bit of good news about the Rampocalypse this week. There was a small blip essentially in the consumer prices. Let me just read you the article and then I want to hear on your take if this is actually good news or if we're blowing out of proportion. Market watchers say that certain DDR5 kits have dipped from their all-time high, and one of the big signal is that spot DRAM prices are down about 6% since mid-March. TrendForce also says that DDR5 prices have pulled back in the US, China, and Europe after months of non-stop increases. But before anybody starts celebrating, the bigger picture is still rough and uncertain. TrendForce says this is mostly a retail correction, while contract prices remain stable, and some kits are still around 408% more expensive than they were in July of 2025. IDC is even more cautious, saying that the memory crunch is expected to last through 2026 and likely well into 2027, and that prices should stay elevated even if the rate of increase slows. And the reason that it's still the same, AI is eating all of the memory alive. As we all know, The Verge reported that demand has pushed RAM prices to the point where they've tripled, quadrupled, and even sextupled, depending on the chip. And IDC says the same storage is already reshaping phones and PCs. Reuters reported smartphone average selling prices could jump 14% this year alone because of manufacturers trying to offset those higher memory costs. So the hopeful read is maybe the worst spike is easing, but the cautious read is this is just a little wobble in a much bigger shortage. Jeremy, what's your take on this?
So I'll just say I'm very anti AI. Gen AI. I understand there's AI for a lot of other things, but generative AI is something I'm very against. Not going to get any specifics. I work in the field of technology and I do logistics for a lot of that stuff. And I'm very fortunate. The job that I do, I'm going to be fine through all of this because we do a lot of manufacturing that is sold to a lot of these things here. But what I'm also seeing is, and you can read news about this all over the place, data centers are being canceled. Like building, contracts are being canceled for data centers. And so there's a lot of that stuff going on. There is also the Google announced this week that they have some new technology to help streamline the compression for the data on that, which would alleviate a lot of the physical need of this stuff. And I think the key thing also is that this is physical items. There's only so much of this that we can actually make anyway. So at some point it has to hit a ceiling.
No, that's a good point. I did see that little like Google thing. I was like, oh, maybe that's the saving grace here. And it's about time. It's like, can't we like for me, it's so hard for like to imagine they're just like going to Walmart and like buying up all the sticks. They're like, let's bring this to the
Yeah.
data center.
Yeah.
We need these. It's like, no, I feel like a lot of the times, it makes me wonder how much is really just like price gouging at the same time with this whole thing. It's just like,
Yep.
well,
100.
you know what? It's time to jack this thing up. And I mean, who knows? It's so hard to say. And of course, companies can easily take advantage of that. I like to hear that there's at least some, questions like, okay, is the technology getting better? Are we getting Google coming up with some cool new technology now that we don't, like that could be great because it is just insane. Like if you were to try and build like a top end, like top of the line computer right now, it's like, it's so astronomically priced. It's crazy. And like, going anywhere and seeing the RAM prices, it just blows your mind seeing the prices that they're at. So, and I know China, I think like China, I saw that there's a viral video of this dude like he bought all this RAM and he's like absolutely having a meltdown because he bought, and it's apparently crashing harder in China, I guess, which is, who knows? It's such a weird thing that like RAM out of all the stuff, it's like causing such a freaking uproar and so much waves. But yeah, I'm hopeful. I think it won't. I think at some point, I think it'll come down before it. And I don't know if it'll be at the same cost it was, because it was pretty cheap for a second, but I'm hopeful that it'll come down sooner than expected. I don't think we'll have to wait that as long as they're speculating.
I agree. I'm waiting for this bubble to burst. I mean, as we all are. And it's funny, like you said, like it used to be so much cheaper. And I was like, man, we had it so good back then. But I do think the market will correct itself. I know, we all know capitalism, the bubble will burst. There will be too much supply and prices will drop. And the question really, like you said, is when. And the main thing for me is I love consoles and next gen, and I can't wait for all this sort of stuff. I don't want Steam Machine or the next Xbox to cost $1,000. I really don't, because I love being able to try out all the new technology. I love technology. But if it's going to be that expensive, I can't do it. So it definitely, if they want to sell, if they want to expand the market, because these console manufacturers and game makers keep saying, oh, our audience is stagnant. Well, assholes, maybe it's the price of your stuff. So you need to figure something out. Now, I know when Amazon did their data centers, they're creating their own custom chips. And so maybe these people need to start figuring something out, or maybe we get lucky in the end of 2027, early 2028, because it sounds like to me the consoles are starting to kind of gel around those dates of when potentially they could be released. And I think that the RAM prices are really going to be such a huge factor on not only the price of those things, but also the success and future of gaming. Because we've got Jeremy over here who's sitting pretty with his PlayStation 5 Pro. If they don't do anything really, if there are no bells and whistles with these new machines, what's to say he has to upgrade at all? Why don't we just sit back on our own all consoles and kind of enjoy it, because we keep knowing that they are going to continue to make content that's backwards compatible. So there's no reason to upgrade. This, I think, is going to cause it to be an uphill battle for console manufacturers if they don't rein these prices in. So
I'll probably upgrade though.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, so Mr. Jeremy, like if these things are like $1,000, are you gonna wait and see? Are you gonna still get one? Like, are you?
If they have a new Ratchet and Clank that's exclusive to the PlayStation 6, I'm gonna get that day one.
Right? Yeah. I think that it all comes back. It's like, is there gonna be an exclusive game that's gonna make me want to get it? Like, is there gonna be something?
Astrobot.
Yeah,
I love Astrobots. So good.
Yeah, it would need to be some. I mean, I'll admittedly say it'll have to be a little more special than Astrobot, but I would need something seriously for $1,000. Having to, like, when I'll look at my daughter Ro and I'll look at the price tag of the system, I'm like, all right, I guess you like community college. Here you go. Yeah, it's just it's really crazy. Thinking $1,000 system is like, that's a lot. That's a lot of money. Like, it's crazy that it's potentially gonna be that's the standard. I don't want it to be that way.
Neither do I, but I think Jeremy has a point with Grand Theft Auto 6 that it is software that sells the hardware. So I think we'll all end up being suckers if they have the right games out there for us.
That's right.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Well, that pretty much wraps up all the gaming news stories we've got for you this week. So thank you so much for hanging out with us. Jeremy, before we go, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you and all about your podcast?
Yeah, if you just go to chatofthewild.com, that's CHAT, not Chad of the Wild. We've had people ask that before. Chat, as in we're having a chat, of thewild.com. You can find all the links over there. You can listen to us on your podcast player of choice. We are now doing everything on video, so all new content will be available on YouTube. Spotify does video now. Apple's rolling out video as well. They'll be all on those platforms. You can follow that there. We just started the brand new season where we are just playing the original Legend of Zelda. So episode 1 is out, as well as the introductions for myself and the 2 new co-hosts that will be joining us on there. So you can look forward to that. Episodes come out every other week currently. Hopefully, if we can start to get some things down, we'll be able to release at a better cadence. But for the time being, as we work out some kinks on that, that's how things are going to go. You can also check out Podcast Advance. That is my Game Boy Advance podcast where I do some interviews about single games with other people. That one I haven't done for a little while. Got to find the right people to talk about certain games with, but there will be some more episodes coming in the future. If you like the Game Boy Advance, check that out. On Wednesdays, not Wednesday nights and Sunday mornings, I stream over at twitch.tv/chat of the wild. So you can find that there as well. Just whatever Zelda game we are currently working through, or if there's some kind of Zelda ROM hack or some other thing that's like Zelda that I want to play, you'll see me on there.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that.
Sounds awesome.
Lots of great content. And thank you again for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. So on behalf of my buddy Matt Lord, myself, Dan Whitehill, and of course our guest Jeremy Harvey, thank you so much for listening. Thanks for watching, and as always, good playing with you.
Good playing with you.
Good playing with you.